Oh shit, that doesn't work. Is that better? I think that works better. I don't know why. This is just a very satisfying feeling. Sound. Scuzzy Wombat, welcome, welcome.
Dude, this song, man, so good.
What's up, bro?
This song's so good. I love it.
Yeah, like,
Dude,
I'm obsessed with the song of late.
yeah, I started pulling up Arcade Fire. They got some other good stuff that I've heard remixed that's been on my playlist before that I was like, oh, okay. Arcade Fire's really got some good stuff.
Nice. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So, shit, where were we?
We were talking about homesteads and the development like process of homesteads, where like step one is like one bear finds a rental property and establishes a home base, builds community with other bears online, so eventually other bears will move to the rental property.
Yep.
From there, one of those bears buys a local small plot of land and builds a homestead there as a transitional property slash barracks for bears with chickens and like the geothermal things you were talking about as like a basic starter for the bears, and like that's like kind of like a half house for
Yeah.
the bears as we
Yeah.
like get to the next level, and
Yeah,
then
so
from
for
the
sure.
next level we then eventually find land and a wife and then like develop from there.
Yeah, so for sure
How, like,
the
initially I was like showing like saying a bunch of like super generic things, but then as you asked me about it like more specifically, like even though I didn't say it previously, I've got all the points in between.
you got all the points what?
So how initially I was giving super generic like step one, step two, step three, and like step three was, oh, now we have a fully functioning community. And I was obviously glossing over tons of stuff, but then as you
No,
asked more specific
that's
questions,
fine.
I was able to elaborate like boom,
Well,
boom, boom.
these are just things akin to the plans that I have that I could definitely execute on immediately. Like the chickens, I know I can make happen immediately. Um, the the greenhouse that's sunken, like we would make any other type of greenhouse on a rental property, and that can be a movable structure that we don't have to pull permits for. We don't have to pull any other strictures for. We literally just have to ask a permission that we put it on there, and then it's a removable structure. That's not going to be as big a thing. When someone owns the land, we should. I'm going to be doing, if it's my land, and I would strongly suggest the idea that we do a sunken geothermal greenhouse, because it's going to up the
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
productivity and up all of that. That's going to be a great move. But if it's just a rental place that we can get, that's a nice a multi-bedroom place that we can get a good bunch of people in there, then we can do chickens, and we can start doing above ground stuff. We could run a type of a greenhouse, and we could run the other thing with chickens, we can make the chickens run cheap and even more healthy by doing composting, above ground composting,
So,
where we just go start buying people's junk and we dump it in a pile and we let the chickens run through it.
so Scuzzy,
They'll
correct me if
learn it.
I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But right now you're talking about the hypothetical in your mind of what you want to happen. And right now I'm talking about in March, I'm going to rent a property in Idaho. And I'm trying to figure out what the fuck that means for me.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, like when you're talking about geothermal heating, like, yes, we're going to get there. But
Yeah,
you're also
I know.
right when you're saying
100%.
that if you're just renting a property, then you need to have a more mobile structure. Yes, I agree on both counts.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying earlier is, like, first, some bear needs to fucking rent a property. and get that home base started. Once that bear does that, then other bears can move into that rental property and help the first bear, pay for shit. And so
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I'm like, if you happen to move there, like move to Idaho before March of next year, then I will ask you, do you have an extra spare bedroom? If
Yeah.
not, I'm moving there in March. Period. Like, this is real for me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a fucking timetable.
Cool. Right on. Yeah. I mean, I'm working on my timetable here. I'm trying to make it happen sooner than later. It just moved up since I'm no longer going to be at this company that decided to fire me for mask.
So
Um,
what's your timetable look like?
my timetable is start getting rid of shit, start making money again as fast as I can, and try to get me a truck, and then I'll load the fuck up and get the hell out of here. Get the
So
fuck
you
out of
saying
Dodge.
6 months, a year, like what?
Right now, I still need to work on that because I need to figure out what things are happening here. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, sooner than later, probably around the 6 months to a year type thing. But yeah,
All right.
it's probably going to be after winter. That's what I'm
Well, by the
thinking.
time you get to Idaho, I'll probably have an extra room for you.
Cool. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's just kind of rough outlines of things I'm looking at here. I want to ask you essentially was what I was bringing up here is I want to ask you, yeah, you want to come in on this because I think we should pile our guys that are coming together right now. I think you, me, and some of the guys I've been talking to, we'd work together pretty well. You got some good skill to bring to the table. I like the fucking cut of your jib, bud. And and
If I'm
yeah,
able
I
to
think
there, let me throw this hypothetical out to you guys, to you and the other bears that you would pitch this to.
yeah.
Is if I'm able to rent a place and like get out there, establish a home base before you guys are, just due to timetables, do you think it would be beneficial? Like, so like, let's say that I could easily afford a 2 or 3 bedroom place, like no problem to myself. Do you think it would be more beneficial to stress my finances so that I could get like a 4 or 5 bedroom place? And like, yes, I would
Uh,
suffer for a couple of months,
I
but
don't know.
long term, it would be beneficial to the Bears.
I don't know because I think, well, we have to figure out what the market really is like over there right now. I mean, I keep hearing that people are piling into Idaho, but we got a couple guys on the ground right now that can kind of start figuring out what that is. So maybe we'll have to take place in that conversation, get some answers to that a little further down the road.
Well, so
Because I wouldn't right off
I,
the bat, I wouldn't want to suggest that you stretch yourself out for something like that unless we find out that it's going to be just a few months out for you. And then we could start recuperating those costs and then we could make that a fact of the past for you so that it's
yeah.
not even anything that was ever any big deal. But if it wasn't something that we knew that we had down pat dates on, and if we didn't know that it was going to be like a great place for us to start out, if we didn't have like a garage and some land and adequate space for all these things and permission to be able to do animals and things, then I would say no. But if it is something like that, then that would be something that we would have to strongly consider.
Yeah, that's a very solid opinion.
Yeah. So
I
that,
concur.
that's how I would look at that. That's good to hear that you're a guy that would be that throws that idea out there. I would feel kind of the same way about doing something like that, but we got to keep financials. We don't want to fucking tank anybody. I don't want to
Well,
tank.
dude, like, I'm so excited. Like the
And I don't.
majority of the Bears that I've met thus far are wonderful. And yes, I've met a couple of bad apples. No one cares. Like, it's
Yeah,
part of the journey. And so it's like, all right, if the Lord has given me like VA disability 100%. So I
that's
wait,
right.
like I can just like rent out this big place and like let the bears come. Like yes, like God, let me be a resource. And so it's like I'm excited to be that, but
Fuck, I
I
don't
should
want to take
be
advantage
much
of you, man.
learning and cautious and being so
Yeah.
excited in how I like try and serve the community. You're right.
Are there stipulations with you, with that income for you that you have to like spend it for X type of thing, or is it just a check to your name?
Free money for me breathing.
Yeah, but you don't have to spend X amount of it on XYZ, and you don't have to like show
No,
receipts, so you can just save that
no.
money.
Yes. Like
Uh,
literally zero accountability for the cash that I'm given.
Well, that's cool that you have that flexibility, but I still wouldn't want to be doing any kind of taking advantage of you with any of that stuff.
No,
But
like the fact that you're asking that question is like, no, you asked that question, that means I want to go to the bat for you that much more. Like, I want
fuck
to
my
put my
bad.
resources on the line for the bear community.
Yeah, and I'd be doing the same thing, like with like I'd be teaching you guys all what I've got in terms of skill and in terms of resources. Like that's part of the big thing. Like I live semi minimal, but I do have some nice things, but I only have nice things that I get utility out of. And I have like a stockpile of tools, and I have some tools that are supposed to be given to me that I'll be bringing. And
No.
so I'll be bringing utility. And like right now, I don't have a whole lot. I actually do have a bit of debt to my name, but that's things that I plan on dealing with myself and dealing with responsibly. Like fuck, in the last year, I switched into a mode where I'm just spending everything else to pay that off, and just spending my quote spare shit, or spending my spendy habit on just getting utilities to stock up. So like even when I didn't need it, and even though I don't really know canning right now, I got somewhat of a stockpile of. I mean, it's not a huge stockpile, but I got like canning jars. I got tools and things. I got things that are reusable. I've got gifted tools and things like that. You know, I go thrifting and things like that. So I've got good skill in that, and that's also part of the reason why I want to get a truck and trailer, and why I specifically want to try to get a gooseneck, so that we can bring in big heavy shit and have that flexibility, so that even if we go and we find out that something we need is something that we need to road trip for, like I'm good with haggling on big ticket items and finding
Mhm.
actual value and like buying cars. And so I know that you're buddy, I heard your fucking secret. I know you drive a bitch's car. so we're,
Jeff, I
so
know
we're
you
gonna
drive a 2003 Saturn Ion. I know you're a little girl for that.
I know your dirty little
Yes,
secret.
continue.
I know your dirty little fucking secret. And sorry, bud, but we're gonna have to fix that.
I concur. All
but
right, so the gravy download face that I was receiving was so everything you're talking of. I'm like yes, 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 I agree. But like
yeah,
specifically concerning your debt. What so like obviously step one is one bear gets a rental place, establishes a home base for the bears. Eventually one of those bears buys a fucking property. So instead of just renting it, we now own the land, and it's
yeah,
still like a Beartarian little like frat house of logos. But like what if in addition to that little frat house of logos that's been established hypothetically in our minds right now, what if there could be a shared fund where it's like, oh, you're a bear that like you made a bunch of really poor decisions, but you're willing to work your fucking ass off. What
well,
if
we
we had
just
a shared
find
fund
ways to
to
work your
help
ass off.
them buy them out of Babylon as they're contributing to the Bertarian frat house?
Yeah, totally, man. A fucking internment camp.
Dude, fucking exactly.
No, well, that's what we can do, dude. I'll be fucking slanging eggs, man. I'm gonna definitely take a big cut because I want them fucking eggs, man. I miss fucking home eggs. But but I'm going to be slinging them too.
But you're taking most of the eggs. For clarification, guys.
I'm going to take a small, considerable portion of the eggs, and they're going to go straight to my gut.
You
And
eat 6 eggs every day for breakfast. So, yes, you're eating the majority of the eggs. But for the rest of us,
hey, cool
we'll
it,
get a
man.
couple
Hey, man, I earned my keep.
Yeah, fucking exactly, dude. Like, you bought the chickens, you raised the chickens, so you best believe you're getting the majority of the eggs. I get that.
But
That's
that's what
only fair.
I'm not. I'm not going to try to take all the fucking eggs. But no. The thing is I want to get a shit ton of them so that we can provide full, great nutrition for all of us, and then also have more to be able to sell at farmers markets, and then get to a point where we're raising meat birds, and we can also eat those and sell a portion at the farmers markets, so that we start making money from our own hand, from our hair of animals. That's what I'm saying. That's part of why I'm saying chickens immediately.
Yeah, dude. That's fucking next
Okay,
level
so you
shit that
didn't
I
teach
had
me
to
this, so I'm
consider.
going to explain it. Chickens for our own nutrition and chickens for farmers market, so that, yes, people that come in, I'm going to require that everyone puts their hand in and helps to take care. So like because we're going to have the chickens going on, and the first step, even if it's a rental property, we can do composting, which is semi quite valuable. It's not like some big ass cash crop, but it helps the chickens. It helps
Well,
us growing.
even if you're just growing microgreen, like
Huh?
something is a fucking even if you're just growing microgreens, something is a fucking start as a transition into this new lifestyle.
Well, yes, but the thing is the chickens, for us, for sale, something that everyone can put in on. We can get more chickens. We can have everyone looking after it. If we need to make, if like say me and Pilgrim need to go make a expedition with the truck, go pick up a car to repair and go over state lines to find it, then we can do that, and we still have someone at home to be able to take care and hold down the fort. That's a very useful thing. That is paramount. And
Dude,
then past that, with the chickens, we can feed the chickens by a certain portion off of the compost pile. They put nutrients into the compost pile. We can use the compost pile, and we can sell the compost pile.
you're
This is,
literally describing
these are
like The
things we can do
Walking
on a
Dead,
rental property.
but like now.
Huh? Say
You're
again?
literally describing The Walking Dead, but now. Like, do you ever watch that like gay little TV series?
Yeah, until I got gay and I started sleeping during it.
Well, yeah. So like, think about it. Like, so much of the show is like, all right, and you defend the base and the women and the children. Me,
Trina,
you, and we're gonna go on a supply run and do some shit. What you're describing is the non-homosexual version of that, where
you're
it's
just
like, all
that's
right,
just your frame of
you and
reference.
you take care of the animals, you take care of the plants, and then me, and you, we're gonna go find a new car to provide some extra income for the territory.
Yep. Yeah, and
Dude, the
plus
most basic version of that possible.
the other thing is we can all start teaching, and we'll all start gaining the skill to work on and resuscitate vehicles, so we can upgrade our own vehicles, and we can sell vehicles. And the thing is if we don't, oh, here, wait, let's pause on that for a second. Trina asked a rhetorical question that I have to give him a little bit of shit on. How will the men find women? Obviously, while we're out in town peddling our great, awesome, godly wares, and being some nice, young, strapping fellows. Like, how do you not see that, Trina? Come on, bud.
Yeah, like Trina Bear.
That's just how it
I
goes.
like to reinforce your point, brother, Scuzzy. Is Trina Bear. I rely upon you as like my biblical expert for a lot of the discussions that we have. So, as the biblical expert for Late Night with JapJap, does not the Lord provide for us? If indeed we submit ourselves to His calling and His purpose. So,
He was
that
asking
being
rhetorical questions.
and Scuzzy are talking about being productive, awesome, like God-honoring individuals, do you not think that the Lord himself would be like, you know what? They're crushing. I'm going to find a way because, I'm God. I'm going to find a way to provide them with a wife. Yeah, it's going to fucking happen, dude. But to be fair, Trainer Bear, I did not see that comment. I'm just replying off of what Scuzzy Wombat was telling me.
Yeah, no, what he said was, how will the men find women? That's what he typed. So, yeah.
Well, like, I believe you that he said that. I'm just like staying in honor. I didn't see that comment myself. That's
Gotcha. And then Bosnia's trying to ball gaze on you, dude. Watch out for
it.
Bosnia.
What's Bosnia saying, bro? I didn't see it.
He's trying to ball gaze on you.
Ah, Bosnia. I get it. You want to see my big American balls because America is the best country in the world. But fucking calm your tits, bro.
Cool your tits. Cool them. Go get an ice pack. Put them on your chest. Cool your tits. But yeah, man. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a way for you to anchor that frame of reference. Yeah, like those are examples that come from Walking Dead, but that's how shit just works, man. Like that's the reason why you get a good group of people on a spit of land. You get you get your chore share. You get your you put in. You get your you pull out. And we'll all have certain things, and we'll all I put your bra in the freezer for a minute.
Also, Warbear, you were asking me to visit you in Oregon on the way up, and unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. Which is also like so one of the synchronicities of like me like wanting to move up to Idaho was so like the big whole thing that Owen's always been preaching is like move close to your family, move to most like more based areas, like get out of the cities. And so my little sister's wedding, I talked to a bunch of my family members. Turns out a bunch of my family has recently moved up to Idaho. And so I was like, whoa, synchronicity. I'm going to put that in my pocket. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Really?
And then
That's
I
good shit.
went to then I went on my little Beartarian trail adventure, and I was like, whoa, I do not want to try and farm in the desert, as I saw with one of the stops in the bear trail I made. So it's like, all right, even though my whole life I've been saying I'm never gonna leave Arizona, like Arizona's the best state, blah blah blah. It's like, all right, well, I don't want to try and farm in a desert. So that excludes 80% of the land in my native state. But then even that, if that wasn't an issue, when America falls, Arizona is going to be split between the Native Americans and the Mexicans.
That's a good fucking point.
I've got a little bit of Mexican blood in me, but, I'm not trying to relate with that tribe. So I'm out.
Yeah, I hear you there.
So then the next synchronicity was when I Googled, like Google Maps, the like how to get from my address to Sandpoint, Idaho. I just Googled that, just out of curiosity, just kind of preliminary research, like just kind of see what the journey looked like. Turns out that over 80% of the travel route that Google Maps showed me, I've already driven before, and it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I was on a business trip up to Utah, and dude, it was a whole fucking spiritual experience where there were multiple like insane spiritual stories, but I think like the most succinct and crazy one was at one point I was literally at the top of a mountain, and as I exited my car, so like I took my keys out of the ignition, put them in my pocket, and then Nick, welcome, and as I put them in my pocket, opened the door, and left my fucking car. I just double checked all my pockets for like cigarettes, lighter, wallet, all that bullshit, and because I'm a sinner. And so then I was like, oh wait, where the fuck are my keys? And from literally out the ignition, into the pocket, open the door, exit the car. The keys had mysteriously disappeared. And like long story short, there was this whole crazy like super spiritual fucking adventure I had. But when I returned, it just so happened that there was this dude driving up who didn't have any cell reception, but my cell phone did. And so like because of that, I was able to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with this random ass dude on the top of this random ass mountain that I've never been to before. And like that being said, I say that because like there was a multitude of super wonderful moments where God just showed me how wonderful He is through this whole
Uh,
trip. And so like I was getting overly excited trying to share you the details of specific stories, but there were
no,
too many stories.
you put
Like
me right there.
literally like 7 or 8 stories over the space of an entire like a single weekend, and so it's like just insane. And so, well, what's interesting, the reason why I
Love
bring
heavy
this
metal.
up is heavy metal. Welcome, welcome. Is the synchronicity is when I googled how do I get where the fuck I'm living in Babylon right now to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Not so much Babylon. 80% of that like drive was
You've already
literally a
done.
trip already made.
Cool.
And like, had I
You already
not
know.
already to northern Utah for the mission that God had already given me, like just looking at it, like, oh, 20 hours? That's a huge drive. Like that sounds like intimidating, blah, blah, blah. But like when when I have the memory of driving to northern Utah, and it was such a wonderful, enjoyable memory. Like most of the time, I didn't have any service. I wasn't able to listen to any music. It was just pure silence. And as I was driving, I just took in the scenery and I was like, wow, this is just such a beautiful land. Like, thank you, God, for like making this, for hours and hours and hours. And so like looking at a 20-hour drive by googling it from Tempe to Sandpoint or Coeur d'Alene or whatever, it's like, oh, that sounds intimidating. But when I already have the experience of a 16-hour drive and the majority of the drive I had no service and I just got to enjoy the creation of the Lord, yeah, add another 4 hours, no big deal. I just get to enjoy the Lord's creation that much more. And so for me, that was another synchronicity. And then there was obviously another couple of synchronicities. So that's why I'm so strongly leaning towards I need to fucking move to Idaho when my lease is over.
That's dope, man. Bosnia Bear is asking about our understanding of nonlinear time. So I was telling him, yeah, I understand that it's a matter of it's a matter of what you're basing your reference off of. It's a matter of what you're taking out of a situation,
Well, so that's the
and
thing
it's
about nonlinear time is Bosnia Bear is asking the general question about nonlinear time, and he's like, I don't fucking understand it. And you have the good-hearted nature of, oh, Bosnia Bear, let me help you out and explain it like Barney style from the basics. But despite your good-hearted nature, is Bosnia Bear has not told us what he does not understand about that. And so because he hasn't told us
what don't you
his
get
lack
about
of understanding, we can talk all day long, but that won't necessarily benefit him. So Bosnia Bear, what specifically do you lack understanding in, and how can we help you?
Yeah, Bosnia, what point are you coming into the conversation on? How much do you understand about it?
Exactly. Exactly.
Have you ever had any experiences where you lose time Have you ever had any experiences where you um, do you lose track of time? Do you have can you think of times where you get into a flow state where you enjoy something more than a
Well,
regular point in time? Do you ever have a shitty day at work that
you
just
said
drags
flow
fucking
state.
on?
Would you say that flow state is an exhibition of time travel? Because like I understand where you're coming from in
By
that
some
when you
measure,
begin
yes.
flow state versus when you exit flow state, there's a very drastic difference of like consciousness, like with respect to time, blah blah blah. Like I understand the arguments, but do you really think like could you explain to me more as
Well,
we're waiting?
that's like a first level understanding of how time can be nonlinear. That's a simple example of it. A
Well,
more
yeah,
crazy
but I'm still
example
curious about your understanding of such.
Yeah, that's like an introductory because like I presume that most everybody has that. I'm making those pretty basic examples, like a shitty day at work that's just fucking dragging on versus like you doing your favorite thing and it being like, oh yeah, I'm totally engrossed in this. You're having a great
Dude, most
time,
people
and then
don't
time
understand that.
flies, huh?
Most people don't understand that. So like I completely understand where you're coming from, but I found like the fact that
You
you
should.
brought up flow state as one of your initial examples, I find that interesting and I want to like kind of engage in that more because I feel like as though there's some sort of gravy we can pull out of
Oh,
this.
he's talking about the next level. Nonlinear time to him means non-sequential. So with
All right,
that,
no one cares about my opinion. Talk to Bosnia Bear about his level of gravy.
no, no, no. I do care about your opinion. I just kind of want to answer his thing. We'll talk about your thing here in just a second. How about that?
No, no, no. But before you answer him, the reason why I say no one cares about my opinion is because you and I both have like the opinion I was talking about just now is here. You and I are both like already here, and it's like, oh, you just brought up an interesting point at a lower level. Let's discuss as we wait for Bosnia Bear to respond. But now that Bosnia Bear has responded, let's go back up to Epic Gravy.
Okay, but no bullshit. Actual self-deprecation. Only good boisterous self-deprecation. Only banters. Some dank bants, right? Don't
I
fucking shoot
concur.
yourself in the foot. But yeah, so non-sequential shit. My example would be like, well, think of things like deja vu. Think about things that where things line up perfectly for you, and things end up showing up in a way where it's kind of like perfect situations, or where, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of already hitting the over notes that it's like something that's very perfect, or something that you feel like you've already been to, or where the situation is. Here, you jump in. You jump in. I just fucked myself mentally.
No worries, no worries. What you're talking about is when you're just going along your day and you have some sort of experience where whether it is subconscious, subliminal, like there's a variety of specific terms where like for whatever fucking reason you're just like, have I felt this before? This seems familiar.
Yeah,
And there's a variety of ways to explain that, which is why you confuse yourself. But
yeah.
that being said, is like as you're moving forward, it's there because there's a variety of ways in which like this deja vu kind of experience occurs. It's a matter of
Oh,
identifying specific. Wait, what you're saying?
yeah. Or what he's saying here snapped me into thinking where it's like where he said re-experiencing an event. So where it's like where you're going through something and it's like a familiar pattern where it's not the same thing you've ever done before. It's a new thing, but it feels familiar. Where it's a pattern of being. It's a pattern of event. A
Well, it seems new to you with your current level of consciousness, But
Yeah.
because there's nothing new under the sun, and God has the entirety of our plans, of our paths planned out before we even began our little physical existence, like somehow that also coincides with free will. I don't get it, but somehow it magically works. So it's like there are times
I think there's
when,
like outlines with still like options. Like there's
yeah,
general outlines, but then you still have choice within it. I think that's where people get fucked up with like we already know what's going to happen, but I somehow still have free will. It's like yes, I know that sounds hard, but it's totally how it is.
yeah, I think you said it really well. Is that God has like an infinite level of outlines that somehow He magically makes sense of, and because of these potential outlines, we have this ability of free will. But despite this ability of free will, because of God's outlines, He's still guiding our lives to accomplish His will, like in our level of existence.
Yeah, like you're gonna get there one way or another. Like however it's set forward, like you can dig your heels in for something for long enough. Like fuck, that's probably where I'm at right now. The fact that I had to get fucking kicked out of Babylon a couple times, like that I get kicked out for doing a good job at things. Like yeah, so I'm doing everything I'm supposed to except for breaking like spiritual and like fucking logical law. That's no, like I don't step out of bounds like that, but then I still get kicked out. It's like, okay, well, there's some different kind of message being sent here. And then all this Idaho stuff gets dumped on my plate. And I'm like, you know what? That's a lot like all this stuff that I've been looking into. And I'm like, oh, I don't know a lot about Idaho. But then I find out that I've been watching guys from Idaho, and it's like the area that I've been like kind of dreaming of going to, but not by a name or by anything like that. And he's also saying he doesn't like the implication of reincarnation. I think that the implication of reincarnation is more of a metaphor. Kind of like how, oh, here's some fucking gravy. I think that the idea of, are you cutting out? Am I still here?
No, I'm
Oh,
just like, as I'm listening, I'm also pondering other things.
you were
I'm
just
still
like
listening, hearing
you were
everything
just
you're
like
saying.
silent and still. So I'm like, fuck, it's frozen.
No, no, no. So like, this thing is like what I was thinking is like the obvious example of running away from God is the Old Testament book of Jonah. And
Yeah,
so Jonah
yeah.
tried everything he could to run away from God. And so like when you were specifically saying like talking about like running away from God, I literally like the reason why it looked like I froze because as I was looking down, I was like,
No, he like literally froze, like
did
not
it get?
technically.
Oh, so I also all right, cool. So added bonus, I actually froze. But like so as I was freezing, I was systematically just like going through my like mental files, every single book of the
He was
Bible.
meditating.
Yeah, like as I was listening and like, all right, you're compounding on your argument, but you made a point about running away from God, and so like for whatever reason that stuck, and so I was going through all my like Bible files, and Jonah
Mm-hmm.
is a really good obvious example, but I was like, that was like the first thing that came to mind, but I was looking for something more substantial, more significant than the Jonah example with reference or with respect to what you're saying. And uh, Saul is the perfect example. He thought he was crushing. He was doing everything he could to possibly honor the Lord, his God, in the way that he was brainwashed to honor God. And even though like he was crushing and like doing like so like what you're talking about is like just kind of not so Jonah was completely running away. You're speaking of kind of like just this middle path where I'm just kind of in like confusion where I'm trying to look for God's purpose and like this may be a thing, this may be a thing. I don't really know, just kind of middle path. And then Saul was
Yeah,
like
that's roughly it.
fought the Christians. And so
What a cunt.
what's great about all three of these paths is obviously according to like biblical like knowledge, God is able to redirect Jonah and bless like people. God is able to reach so like far one way, the far the other way. Jesus literally gives a supernatural vision to Saul on the road to Damascus, and then Saul renames himself to Paul, and then writes 1/3 of the Bible of the New Testament. No big deal, like kind of an epic story. And so, considering most of us are in that middle path that you were describing, we have biblical like context where
Yeah.
God rewrites the story on both extremes. You
Yeah,
see
my,
what I'm
my
coming from?
yeah. Yeah, my story, my spiritual story lately, well, shit, I guess I'm kind of transitioning into a different one, but for a while it was the proverbial prodigal son, where I mean, I never did like super heinous shit, but I was into a bunch of different things. I thought I was looking for things where they weren't really, and yeah, and then I'm like coming back and I'm getting like rewarded in ways that I didn't ever expect, and I'm like reaping shit that I'm like, I thought I'm supposed to still be getting like punished or something. I thought you guys didn't dig me. Like I thought
No,
you guys
dude.
fucking hated me for shit.
There's a biblical concept in which you are sowing the crops in which you have not reaped. That's one of the spiritual blessings of following Jesus Christ. He just gives you like, hey man, here's this spiritual bonus box. Just like
Well,
keep
in
following
part,
me, and
in
I'll
part,
like
I think
give you
that's
this bonus box of blessings.
in part that's true, but I think in a lot of effects, like I tried to do good in a bad area, and it wasn't ever really effective, and I was surrounded by people that didn't have the same ambitions as I, and so like that's kind of always been my real struggle, and like getting around here, getting to the Bears is really like fuck, I'm coming home, type thing. Like and
Yeah.
and but yeah, like I never really did crazy like uh malicious shit. But what I would do was off in the wrong direction, but I would still be trying to do good. And so it was never quite that effective. And so as soon as I start getting back onto like an actual sensical path, and I start being like putting myself in places where things can actually grow and prosper, it's doing a lot better. And plus, I think I am getting a little bit of that like reaping stuff I haven't sowed, like to a degree. But I've placed I've sowed in a lot of places where it wasn't capable of reaping in a lot of senses, where I was kind of wasting some sense and some
Well, you
seed.
weren't. There's a difference between throwing pearls before swine and
That's been a serious
planting
fucking lesson
seeds.
for me. That's been a
Well, like,
serious
so
fucking
yeah, like throwing pearls before swine is like one whole thing that we all do all the time because like with the best intention. That being said, is there's a difference between throwing pearls before swine and planting seeds. And sometimes we do not have the discernment to figure out which is what we're doing because it can seem as though we're throwing pearls before swine, but in reality, the Lord is using a confrontational event to in our
to give
like
a lesson.
our humbleness towards Him to plant a seed in the heart of someone who's being like verbally confrontational, but in reality, like he's like, hey, you're planting a seed, and
Dude, sometimes it
this
takes a long
seed
time.
may be
I've had
hard to
that
see.
too.
Still planting a seed.
Yeah, and sometimes it takes a long time. Like honestly, in retrospect, with a lot of those people, down the road, it ended up doing them some good. Down the road, it ended up giving them some options that I don't know. I have a hard time like taking credit for things like that. Where in the past I would have loved to have done that, but like, knowing there's a whole lot more variables, and it ain't always me doing something. Like I can go, and I definitely always try to help. And me seeing like me try to help someone and feeling like it's pearls before swine, like I don't know, that hurts. It sucks. Like one to try to help someone and then it doesn't land, and also feeling like, well, shit, I must be in the wrong place also. Like
No,
this isn't.
no, 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 not at all, dude. Not at all. So
But yeah, no,
I remember.
because yeah, I have seen that stuff come to fruit like years down the road with some people. Like I've went and I've talked or I've ran into someone and I see them doing a bit better, and they're like, "Hey, man, that shit you told me about, that I ended up starting to do that."
Exactly.
Like I got a couple of dudes to stop doing porn. I got a couple dudes to stop like smoking and shit. I got a couple dudes to start working out. Um, I've had some good like spiritual talks with some guys. I mean, yeah, it takes a while. It's like yeah, maybe I'm just doing one part of it. It's not it ain't my
Exactly.
fucking responsibility to turn their ship around. They got to do it, and they got to go ask God for the wherewithal for that. So yeah, it's part a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Because like on one hand, you're right. Like I've been on the recipient end of a lot of people being like, "Oh, JapJap Bear. Oh, PJ. Like, thank you so much for telling me XYZ. This helps my relationship with the Lord." I'm like,
Yeah,
don't thank me. Thank God for using me. I'm just a retard. But
yeah,
at the other end of the spectrum, there's a lot of times where in the past week or so,
yeah,
one of
man.
one of my last best friends. When I was in high school, I was always like, "Thank you, God. You have blessed me so much for having so many best friends. Like I've got all the friends. Like this is so great." And over time, like God is kind of like throwing me through the fire time and time again, more and more friends have fallen away. And so now I may possibly have one friend, like one of my best friends from high school
Hmm.
is still a close friend.
Hey, me
But
too. I got one.
almost everyone else, they moved to the big cities, they got brainwashed by socialism, and then now I'm a hateful person.
God, Jap Jap, you fucking box of trouble.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
dare me?
but like the flip side of that, like when you turn the table around on that, like I have a lot to be thankful for in those times when I was like not getting things straight, and I reflect on those lessons where, dude, I would have been the swine getting pearls thrown at me, where I wasn't able to get that stuff, and eventually it sinks in. Eventually that seed comes to sprout, and
Oh,
sometimes it
I
just
had
takes a
whole
while.
years. I had whole years where the only thing I cared about was sleeping with more pretty girls. And so had me currently approached like past Jap Jap Bear, like, "Hey douchebag, stop banging all these biddies. It's not helping you. In fact, you're actually hurting yourself. Stop being such a retard."
Yeah.
Past Jab Jab Bear would be like, "Hey, future Jab Jab Bear, stop being an asshole. Fuck you, man. I'm just trying to do my thing." And that's just within myself.
Yep. Been there. Yep. Yeah. But I mean, that thief, that fucking thunder tugger, or I don't know who fucking said it. Just haven't found a way to do it, but a thousand ways not to do it. It's like process of elimination. It still ends up, you can still use that information, and you end up knowing, um, you end up knowing how to avoid landmines, and that's kind of a thing. Like those are effective. That's effective lessons that we have, that we can help people with that stuff. We see another guy trapped in the same quagmires we used to be in. Like, got some valuable stuff, and that's really where that's come across to those people.
Are you reading the chat right now?
A little bit.
The chat is super based.
Yeah. No, I see that. Yeah, there's a going back and forth about what you eat and what you don't eat. I don't know. I like to eat clean, but I also wonder about the thing with the swine. I gotta figure that out because I still
So,
have bacon.
bro, the whole thing about your nutrition is super simple answer in the New Testament. I want to say it's the book of Acts,
It's
chapter
this.
like
It's
3.
it's
I want to say, but
healthy.
basically, like, Peter, like the guy at the Catholic Church is like, oh, Peter is the rock, and we're basing everything on Peter. Like, even though they're doing it wrong, like Peter, the apostle. Um, in the book of Acts, chapter 2 or 3, maybe 4, um, is basically Peter is on the top of this like house, and he gets this vision from God, and there's this like big sheet that comes down from the heavens, and there's a bunch of fucking little farm animals and shit in the sheet, and Peter hears the voice of God saying, "Eat," and Peter's like, "God, how dare you? These are unclean animals. I've never eaten something unclean." And then the
Yeah,
sheet goes back up, and then it comes back down, and God's like, "Peter,
I
eat."
don't make unclean things.
Yeah, yeah, dude, exactly. And Peter's like, "How dare you, God?"
And then like
And then God's like,
God's like, "How
"Peter,
dare you,
I do
Peter?"
not make unclean things." Oh, also, by the way, there's like some guys that you need to follow that are like literally at your door right the fuck now. And then like the next verse is, and these dudes from the centurion knocked on the door. And then Peter was like, bet. I'm gonna make a 3-day journey to your house, bro. And then the Lord used Peter to then fucking, convert a whole nother household.
I gotta catch something in the chat here. Two things. Warbeard Bear. How many pictures are actually in the Bible? My Bible doesn't have pictures.
Yeah,
Two.
not mine.
Bosnia Bear. Swine is at the evolutionary end of the evolutionary line of the Grappler. Bosnia Bear. You just said you didn't like the idea of reincarnation. If there is no reincarnation, how are swine grabblers? I admit
Good
the
question.
the representation, the look is uncanny. The Schumer effect is Last Supper.
Warbeard is trying to backstep, and he's saying every story is a picture because every picture. I'm adding this, but because every picture is 1,000 words. Yes,
Yeah.
Wardbear,
Okay.
we get it that every
Warbeard.
story
Come
is a
on.
picture, but that doesn't mean like what the fuck you're saying. Also, before we go forward, we have about 6.5 minutes left of this current stream. I'm
Gotcha.
about to finish the cigarette. Do you guys vote that I purchase more poison water and continue this stream, or should I just like call it in the next 6 minutes?
Well, don't get any of that. Beware the poison red man water. Don't get any of the fire water.
Well, like if we're gonna continue this stream and like be awesome, I'm gonna continue the fire water. But like I'm asking you guys, do you want this stream to continue for this evening or not?
Well,
Because if not,
I can
like,
jump
we're
off.
about
I
to
was
end
gonna
in
go
like
talk
5
with
minutes.
Pilgrim.
What's up?
I can jump off. I was gonna go talk with Pilgrim, talk about his first day down in Idaho. But man, I appreciate the talk, man. I think we should try to gang up when we get out there. I can help teach you fucking all I know. We can put our heads together. We can build a great thing. We can work out the other shut. Also, with some of those other technicals and things, the legals and shit.
Indeed.
I have aspirations to get further into understanding common law, contract law, the basic law, and being able to access the treasury.
Yeah.
So we can probably have some things simplified in the future once those things get happening. Plus, that land is going to be a better, more fertile area for us being able to get a hold of elders that have that experience. So that will become easier when we're there. I believe there's common law assemblies and things of that nature out there. There's a lot more people out there that know their rights, that know how things operate. We'll be able to do that too. So things are going to be getting good, and I think we're getting on the same page, and I think we're going to make something good.
I concur with everything you're saying, and I will add on 2 points. Point one is I've had a bunch of like chicken and vegetables and spices and shit in the slow cooker for like 6 hours now, and my whole apartment smells so delicious. It's
Oh,
thoroughly I can't eat it. Point two is I'm gonna go buy some more fire water because I want to talk to you guys some more.
all right, all right. Well, you have yourself a good night. I may watch some more of this, but I'm gonna go jump on with Pilgrim, see what's going on with
Hell yeah,
him.
dude. So when you're talking to Pilgrim, let him know about like what you and I were just talking about, and
Oh, for sure.
if like we can build on that concept. Like yes, like I want to
For
build
sure.
a little like Baratarian area where like we work together to rent a place before we can buy a place. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And JapJap, I already sent you that invite link a while ago. I don't know
Oh
if you
fuck
jumped
yeah.
on already or not, but that's where
No,
we're doing.
can you send it to me again? If you
I'll
sent it to
send,
me a while ago, like I was an asshole and I didn't follow up. It's my bad.
yeah, I'll send it to you again, and then that'll be like if you're around and you got a mic on your computer, you can do some chatting there. We can do pretty much the same thing here. But there's a
Oh
there's a
yeah.
good gang of guys and gals on there, and yeah, it's a good little resource. I usually have that open. It's been nice.
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
All right. Oh, Nick's going to Idaho too. All right, Nick. Fucking come on,
Wait,
come get your fucking
Nick,
overall
you're going to fucking
reinstalled.
no way. Nick's going to yes. Idaho just got like way better. That Nick's going there.
I know Nick crushes. He's already
Yeah,
crushed.
Nick
He already
is
done been crushing.
yes. Like I was a huge fan of Nick just in the chat, and then he let
Yeah,
me hang out at his spot when I went and visited
I've
the
seen.
Victorian
Uh,
Trail. Dude, Nick is a fucking legend.
yeah, Nick. Was it you that I've seen on like the Crow radio things? I feel like I saw you on some other streams or something too. Was that you? Government stuff, things of that nature. I don't know. Could have been. Could it be? Could it be?
Could it be possibly?
Possibly it could be. Crow.
Oh, you're
Oh,
back.
there it is.
Do you hear that tick 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 sound?
Oh, is that your gay little Jew car making that sound?
Yeah, so Bajo Bear informed me that the annoying tick 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 sound is because my air conditioner is malfunctioning.
Oh, I know that sound. Yep.
And like what I found greatly amusing was that
Start making
Bajo
music.
Bear looked at my system for all of like 20 seconds and
Mm-hmm.
fixed it, made the ticking sound go away, and my car was all good to go. And then when I tried to drive back home, before I even exited the little mountaintop, the AC broke again. But Instagram says we got 15 seconds left. I will be right back. You got priority, Scuzzy Bear. We'll see what's going on.
All right, man. Well, I'm probably gonna dip off.